Welcome to the December 2025 Raleigh Astronomy Club meeting. This is the Laminator. For those of you that don't know him, the Laminator. Which way do I say it? The Laminator. Oh, okay, I can't do that. Okay.
All right, well, we've got Hubble. So can we spin the next one? Because I'm going to go down it with people here. We've got more Hubbles. Mustafa, look at this. July, August, September, October, November. Well, we'll get yours. Can you keep going? Because I'm going to just go through these. All right, so the new ones were Dana with Messier, Caldwell, Adnan with Solar System, Randall, who's not here, with Herschel 400. That's a big one. And Doug with Hydrogen Alpha. All right, next. We've got special awards, which are International Observe the Moon. I'm going to start with something. Somebody handed in his International Observe the Moon a month late, but I still managed to laminate it for you. All right, so we also there's Huygens Toes, and look, Chris Cole. This is the second time, so we're going to give Chris, unless he took it, Chris Cole. Now, take this home with you this time. Yes, otherwise, every meeting we're going to be handing that to you. All right, so we've got Blair Groden here with the October and November silver certificate. So I have confirmed, thank you, that there's 10 of us. There's 10 of us that will receive the gold certificate and a pin. So try to get those into me as soon as possible. Well, as my old manager said, you got 24/7. So somewhere in the world, there's not clouds and it's dark. So you got to use a scope. All right. We've got Huygens Toes, Al Hamrick. We've got November Silver, Hubble for Al. I'll get to you, Al. And October. So Al's got his. There you go, sir. All right, moving down here, we've got Michael Keefe, September Hubble. Now, what happened to October and November? I know. I got to find these things. This has been, as Doug mentioned, this has been like herding cats. So, you know, one cat's out of the bag somewhere. All right. We've got Dean Herring with November and December. All right. We got Susan Herring with November and December. So that's for the gold as well. Gold will probably, so what we're thinking on doing with gold is Mike Keefe's going to do what, March, April, a wrap up of the Hubble. And I thought that would be a great time to hand out the golds then. But that would be pretty cool because we're probably not going to get them until February anyway. All right, Doug Lively, you better come up here, Doug. This is just, we've got Doug November Hubble, Doug October Hubble. We've got Doug with the December. Already, December. You just handed it in today. We've got the October 1st International Observe the Moon and what you did up at the national park. So talk about that for a second.
All right. So actually, Dean actually encouraged me to do this, and I was like, I had access to a really nice H alpha scope for every year that I was at Glacier, and Dean was like, "Why haven't you done your your H alpha yet?" And I said, "Well, I don't know." I'm telling you. So they did. I was really fortunate. They did have a very nice H alpha telescope. I was fortunate because part of our observing team this year, we had an astrophysicist. Her name is Sydney Furman, and Sydney has actually joined our club. She's actually a RAC member now, but she's actually pursuing her doctorate now in astrophysics at UC Boulder. And so Sydney's a great person. Hopefully, we're going to get her in here to do a talk for us one of these days. But she's great with outreach. But anyway, so Sydney and I worked on the H alpha, as I understand it. Can I say this? Yeah. Her pin is on the way to her place in California. But anyway, so it really, what it does, it really requires that you observe the sun. There are a set of features that you look for in hydrogen alpha, and that's actually published in the program. You have to at least get one observation. Now, don't do what I did. I only labeled one for every thing that I got. And Dean's like, "Doug, you usually do more than this." I was like, "Oh, I'm sorry." But anyway, so do a better job of labeling all your objects, but you do have to at least get one of all the structures. And the thing is as you're observing the sun, you have to also do this through at least you have to do it during 2 solar rotations. But if you do that, right now the sun has refused to go to sleep. So now is a really good time to actually do this program, because we're still getting a lot of activity in a time where we thought that the sun should now be going kind of be more quiescent. But as you guys can attest, we're still getting a lot of really good activity from the sun. This is really just simply a fun project to do. You'll learn a lot about structures in H alpha. So if you can get access to an H alpha scope, I just want to encourage you guys to go for it. It's a lot of fun. You'll learn a lot.
And we've got one in the loaner scope.
Oh, I didn't know that. Well, that's a great thing. So I definitely want to encourage you guys to do this. It's a lot. I mean, you'll learn a lot, and you'll see some amazing stuff, especially when you see these great walls, these anomalous walls of gas and plasma hanging off the sun's limb, and you realize, wait a minute, there's probably 15 to 20 Earths that could fit inside this thing. And you go, oh my gosh. So it's pretty amazing when you get to do this. I just want to encourage everybody to do this program. It's a lot of fun. All right, thanks.
Congratulations. Here's the rest of these. There you go. All right.
Oh, wait, one more thing. We do have a visitor tonight. Manas, stand up. He's actually, I'm putting you on the spot because I met Manas over at Glacier, and so he attended a lot of our programs at Glacier, and he was so impressed by my speaking ability. He was really so impressed with astronomy that he's come out to our program tonight. So hey, welcome, man. Glad you're here.
All right, very good. All right, if we can get Dana out from underneath the machine over there. He's got November silver for Hubble, October silver for Hubble. He's got International Observe the Sky, Moon, and he's got the Imaging Messier program for how many objects was this one? Was this all 110? Yeah. 10. And also the Caldwell, which I think was 70 of them. So 70 of them. So one thing that happens here that I kind of like to do once in a while is read from the observing program owner in the Astronomical League. So this one is like, Dear Dana, On behalf of the Astronomical League and the late Sir Patrick Caldwell Moore, I wish to congratulate you upon becoming a member of the Caldwell Club and achieving the Silver Caldwell Imaging Award for imaging at least 70 of the 109 Caldwell objects. Kind of hard to get 109 unless you go below the equator, because I think there's another 20 or 30 or 40. 20 below, yeah, 20, 30 almost below
I've
that.
asked Al to take me with him next time he goes to Australia,
Yeah.
but he wants me to pay for it. So.
All right, and in close, you will find a letter of congratulations from Sir Patrick, along with your numbered certificate and the silver award pin, which depicts one of Sir Patrick's favorite Northern Hemisphere objects, which you can't get this pin unless you know what this object is. So let's have it.
C12.
This is a cat's eye nebula. All right, there you go.
I don't even see it. Oh.
All right, so here we go. Now we got a father and son team here. We've got Adnan, Asif, and Mustafa. So let's start with Mustafa. Apparently he hasn't been here since July. So we've got July, August, September, October, and November, Hubble 35th. So a big accomplishment. Silver awards for that. There you go. So, Dad, when are we getting the Decembers in? Okay. All right. All right. So for Adnan, we've got the Huygens toes. So come on up, get that one. We've got your Hubble August, September, October, and November. And also we've got here Solar System Observing Award. So that's quite a feat to get this one. All right, congratulations. All right, we've got, oh, hey, October, November, Michael Keith. All right, and we've got 3 for Bob, but Bob Musi is not here today, so that's good. So I'm good. Also up here, if you took a look, there's the Observer Handbook, raffle tickets, pair of binoculars for later, Astronomical League on the table back there. I've got all sorts of stuff, including the 3-eye atlas that closest approach to Earth. Try to do it on December 18th or 19th. Now the outreach activity, this is a 2 a.m. thing, so make sure you get your neighbors up at 2 a.m. I suggest one of those boat horns. Otherwise, I think you can just post a picture or tell somebody the day after or a week after you've got to the end of January. All right.
You done?
Yep, I'm good.
Okay. Guys, didn't pick it up. We're going to raffle off 5 books and a pair of binoculars later. So the safety slides will be real fast tonight. Watch out for each other. Watch out for each other's bags. Go and the room hazards. I tried to put all the cables over here so only I would trip on them. Yes, ma'am. No, I'm going to let you do it. Yeah, just click through them. Okay. You are not, go one more. You are not in this room. Out the stairs and down. Okay. But you're not in that room. I'll be honest with you. I don't know. I didn't do a very good job. Where's my safety guy who's going to get on me? Fire extinguisher's over there, and I don't know where the defibrillator is. Yep, outsides. Blair, can you dial 911 in case it's needed?
How do you spell it? Be nice.
Be nice? Okay. Okay. So let's go through upcoming events real quick, and I want to get started on the Chris Golathon. So RAC OBS is coming up on the 19th. I went ahead and put January in here. Next indoor meeting is local interstellar clouds. Michael's going to do that. We have where's Stephen? Blake. There. If you want to speak to any of these, tell me. You do it on the business side. Okay, we got all the going down them. And we have astronomy days. We have the RAC ops here. And Buckhorn Elementary School is coming up. And I think that indoor meet. Oh, that's probably a good one to mention is that January 30th, we're all going to the Moorhead Planetarium. Thank God it's a brand new laptop. Okay, go forward. Okay, so Sir Chris, please stay after for business meeting, everybody, and giveaways. If you're not here, then I get your giveaway, especially if your name's Marshall. So Chris has been with the club since 2007. Started out as a visual observer because smartphones were not around at the time. The only option was to take his first crude images of the night sky was to hold a point and shoot camera up at the telescope's eyepiece, which we've all done. Mine were never any good. Ecstatic with his results, of course it is, he went on to become one of the club's longest dedicated astroimagers. For the past several years, he has headed up RAC's imaging group and was also a club co-chair for years.
All right, sorry, everybody. Anyway, so yeah, priority one for all of our imagers. You will have 4 minutes to talk about your images. And let's see. It is not going forward. There we go. Okay, secondary, we would like to hear about why you chose the object and what optics and camera you used to take the image. So you don't want to go into too much detail, mainly because this is a general presentation. You want to not really talk about processing details. And so as we go through the presentation, looking at these wonderful images of the cosmos, keep in mind that the crew is expendable. Okay, so our first imager up is Jim Percicanti. I don't think he's here, so, oh, you're over here. Okay. All right. Okay. Okay, you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay.
What we got first? All right, so we're starting off with the Soul Nebula, starting off 6,500 light years away in Cassiopeia. About here. And so I imaged this because I was getting into narrow band imaging. This was still with my smaller refractor, which has a nice wide field. And so you've got an 8 million year old star cluster clearing out a ball of gas, giving you a very pretty blue K with some red and orange hydrogen and sulfur all the way around that. All right, next.
Okay.
All right, next up we have the Large Magellanic Cloud. And so I like to travel and I like to bring a travel unit when I go. So the LMC is 70 degrees south. And I was in Costa Rica last January. And in Costa Rica at 10 degrees north, you can just see it above the horizon. And so from my hotel room patio, I set up my DSLR and a 135 millimeter lens, and I imaged it there in about 5 minutes. I was in a place that's a cloud forest, so a lot like Raleigh. There was not many clear nights, but I finally got a little bit of clear nights where I could shoot it, and you can kind of see it. It's really big, so it's about 10 degrees in the sky. And keep going. All right, what do I got? Like 2 minutes left. And then this year I finally got a bigger scope. For years I've had a little tiny scope. Finally got myself 140 millimeters so I could get a nice image of M82. And so this is from my place up in Virginia. It's got some darker skies, so I could image this in about 9 hours. And so M82 is smaller than the Milky Way, but brighter than the Milky Way, and has a lot of active star formation, 10 times more than the Milky Way, and has a lot of supernova, which give us all those pretty red hydrogen bursting out of there. And this is the second image that I took with that scope. Whirlpool is always a fun one to image. And so this again, I just like to image this one every year and just kind of mark my progress. This is one of the first ones that I shot with a DSLR that made me kind of fall in love with imaging. So now to be able to go back with it with a big scope and a nice camera and spend whatever I did, 8 or 9 hours on it, it's a lot of fun.
Wow.
And this is out in Utah. I spent about a week out in Utah this summer, and I started it, and it was a new moon, and then the next 6 days were cloudy. And finally, on the 7th night we were there, we were at Bryce. So we're at about a quarter moon, but I managed to get a little bit of imaging. You don't have the time lapse, do you? You just have the still. All right, so you can play a time lapse. So I cut what was about 72 images, so about 3 seconds of time lapse I was able to get before the clouds moved in. And there were some other astrophotographers nearby, and they get a lot of light shining on the canyon. But it's always nice to go out to dark skies and enjoy the Milky Way.
Every time we have this meeting, I would spend like 4 grand.
All right, so Bill Swanson's up next.
Right, can you hear everything? Oh, we have to hold it.
No, just press it once.
Okay.
Yeah, very good.
So I got about 6 images here. Most of these are going to be the same kind of setup. So I have a Celestron Edge 11 on the CGX mount. I use the ASI Air to operate it, and I have an ASI 2600 color camera with the Duo with the guide chip next to it. And then all of these ones, I'm using a Hyperstar adapter. So it's at f2, about 540 millimeters of focal length. So it's a wider view. And I'm doing 2-minute exposures. And then, but I know we didn't want to go into processing, but I'm doing very little processing. This is just, I use the ASI Air Studio to just kind of stack them together and then just do a little tweaking. So, and then this is M31. I took that one from my backyard back in August. That was about a 3-hour exposure for that one that I did that, or 3 hours total that I stacked together. And then the Pleiades was in October, also from my backyard up in Wake Forest. And this one is about 2 hours of exposure that I did for this one. And both of those are at the F2. And then I got some, I went to the Staunton River Star Party in October. Had 2 great nights while I was up there, really dark skies. So I was running all night for those and did a number of images. So this is the Western Veil Nebula. That was on October 23rd. And this is like one of the longer ones I've taken. I've never done any where I do multiple nights. So this is 4 hours in a single session that I did overnight there to get this one. These ones I've been really happy, especially up at Staunton River, how well they came out, you know, without having to do a lot of processing on them. So I was really psyched about that one. And then this is also from Staunton River. So the Horsehead and the Flame Nebula. And this one is 3 hours of exposure that I did on this one. And I think it was the same night as the other one. I kind of ran it together. I just figured out how to do plan on that. So I can do multiple targets in one night, just go to bed and sleep all night. And before I was like getting up all the time. So that was nice to figure that out. And then one more also at Staunton River where I did Orion. And again, and that's a shorter one. That's only an hour's worth of exposure time in order to get that one. That was basically the last thing I got before dawn. So I didn't have as much time to be able to do that. And then 2 other things. So this was actually with my Sea Star. So that's the Comet Lemon that I did with the Sea Star. That was also up at Staunton River, and you could get that that week. It was right after sunset. You'd see it very low on the horizon. So it was pretty quick. You had a very little time to be able to get it, but I was able to get that on the Sea Star. And then this is instead of using the Hyperstar on the 11-inch, I'm using just a focal reducer. So it's at f7. It's about 2,000 millimeter focal length. And this is just a Galaxy photo of NGC 7331, which is in Pegasus, I believe. And that is about 2 hours. And I found the tracking it's been easier with the nebulas to be able to do the tracking and do long exposures. And this one, I'm still trying to get better at being able to get a lot more time with it to be able to get these to come out. But this is one of the better galaxy pictures that I've taken. So, and I think that's it.
Okay, fantastic. I guess it's off. Okay, critical, that's me. Okay, yay. Okay, really quick, I only have 4 images, so let me reset mine. Okay, there we go. Yeah, this is just a mono picture of the first quarter moon. Not super interesting. I mean, nice little foreground. It's kind of photogenic, right? But one thing I wanted to go over when you're looking at these images is to put size and distance into perspective. So I took this about a little more than 2 weeks ago, I guess. And you see there, I mean, this night at least, it was the moon was 233,000 miles away, and it's the object itself, the moon, is thousands of miles across. So it's a big object, it's just far away, which is why it appears pretty small there in the night sky all the time. Of course, you can see it scaled against the horizon, and it always gives you that illusion that it's much bigger than you thought, but that's just an illusion. But I took this with an 85 millimeter camera lens and a ASI 183 mono camera. Wasn't filtered for color, obviously. But what if we were to take the same camera lens and camera and take an image of a nebula? And I finished this one not too long ago. And so this is the Heart Nebula right here. So once again, thousands, or not thousands, no, big time, trillions and trillions of miles away. It's a light year, right? So it's pretty big, and that's trillions of miles across. So it's a really big object, really far away. Yet I used the same camera and camera lens that I did the first quarter moon, and that's how big it would be if you could actually see it with your own eyes. Okay, so what's next? Hopefully the lag won't be too bad for this one. This happened practically at the beginning of the year. It's where the moon moved in front of the planet Mars. And so there you go. You have Mars setting. And about an hour later, it came out the other side. So you have Mars rising. And obviously, it looks a little clearer. That's because this whole event started kind of low in the sky. So the end result, as far as, or not the end result, but the end of the sequence, the planet and the moon looked a little bit better. I didn't want to go into processing, but this is what I got from that recording. As far as the final image goes, you can see all the little landmarks on Mars right there, and you just barely make out the northern ice cap, made of dry ice or frozen CO2. This little white patch there on the left side of the planet. So that was a lot of fun. Okay, and solar. Here's something I like to do every now and then. I have 3 filters that I like to image the sun through. So this was taken on New Year's Day, and so you have 3 wavelengths that you can image the sun, and hydrogen alpha. It's probably the most dynamic looking one. That's why I have it there, nice and big there in the corner. 656 nanometers, which means it's close to the red side of the spectrum, and it gives you an idea of the activity in the chromosphere. The middle one there, that's like a pale yellow, that's used using a continuum filter. It's at 540 nanometers, which is actually on the green side of the spectrum, but it's very similar to a white light filter that you would commonly put on just about any telescope out there. So but put in a green filter, a continuum filter in front of it, just makes it stand out better. So, but I false colored it back into something that you would see through a white light filter. Then finally at the bottom, you have a calcium K image, and it's a very short frequency, 393 nanometer wavelength, approaching ultraviolet light. And I like that one. It's very photogenic too. It's not as dynamic as hydrogen alpha. I think people should look at it more. I mean, it's pretty cool looking, and it almost looks as if the actual sun has been like electrocuted to me. It just looks like little lightning bolts going all across it. So pretty cool. So that's all I have. Okay. Very good. All right, Paul, take it away. Thrill us. No, I pushed it before I handed it to you. So. Okay, there we go.
Good. All right. Hi, everybody. I'm actually a longtime member of Chaos, and so just a recent member of RAC. I've been a lifetime visual observer, but just this year I started to do some astrophotography, and there are more imagers in RAC than there are in Chaos. So I thought I could find some like-minded folks here. So this is M51, the Whirlpool Galaxy. This is actually sort of my first astrobin image that I took in April. This is with the Edge 8-inch Celestron, and this is with the focal reducer. And it's a pretty short exposure, like 3 hours taken in my backyard, 4 to 5 skies. So this is the Hercules galaxy cluster. This is 500 light years away. You can see about, if you count them, about 200 galaxies in this image. So I kind of call this my Runkle Hubble deep field. Yeah, it's pretty cool. There's a lot of detail in these. I remember seeing this image as a college student taken from one of the Palomar surveys. And it kind of blew me away then. And it's kind of cool to repeat that in your backyard.
Yeah, so just really quick, what's really nice about like the springtime and the fall is that the Earth is oriented outside the thick part of the Milky Way. So you get to a point where you start to see more of a sky of galaxies than you do stars. And so, yeah, you captured it nicely here, illustrating that.
All right, so this is a 2-panel mosaic of the Veil Nebula. I took this with just a little 60 millimeter cheap refractor, the Astrotech 60 AT60 ED. So it was kind of the scope that got me started with astrophotography. And again, this is taken in my backyard. I think it was a total of 3.5 hours for each panel. But it's kind of amazing what you can do with modern sensors and a light polluted backyard. This is the Elephant Trunk Nebula. It's IC 1396 in Cepheus, and it's a pretty active region of star birth, and there's some cool dark nebulae in there as well. This I took through a narrowband filter, so it's with a one-shot color camera, but it's got a hydrogen alpha and an oxygen-free bandpass in it, and then I kind of use some false coloring to bring out the detail. So I took this at Staunton River at the Star Party. This is just through a 135 millimeter Samyang lens, so a telephoto lens, and then I used a ASI 2600 MC color camera. This was 4 hours on this object. It is super, super dim, and I was really happy with how well it came out. So there's sort of two things I really liked about this image. One is just all the different colors. And again, this is with the narrowband filter, so it's got a dual band. So the blue is oxygen, the red is hydrogen alpha. But then the other thing that's kind of striking, this is right in the center of the Milky Way. It's near Alberio and Cygnus, and you can just see how star dense this field is, which is kind of cool. So this is Horsehead from my backyard in that just little 60 millimeter refractor. It's 6 hours of exposure. And then I took this in November in the backyard. This is my longest exposure image. This is NGC 891, Caldwell 23, and it's an edge-on galaxy, sometimes called the Outer Limits Galaxy on the old TV show. It's in one of the credits for it. But it's kind of cool. You can see a lot of detail in the dust lane, and also there are a lot of galaxies in the background, which is neat. This is in my C8. All right, thanks.
All right, awesome.
Hey, and just want to mention and welcome Paul to RAC. That puts the master observers in the room at 4 tonight.
Okay, so Naveed Malik, he's one of our most prolific astrophotographers here in the club. He couldn't be with us tonight, but he did give us did some images for us to take a look at. No, there is not that, Dana. Okay, so Lion Nebula. Well, I mean, we all look up at the clouds from time to time and say, "Hey, it looks like that animal or what that animal." So this whole thing does not really look like a lion, but what it is, it's that glob right at the top, and you can it looks like a lion walking. So anyway, so this is also a narrowband image, like Paul and the others mentioned. So it was taken through various filters to bring out the different types of emissions of whatever elements are found in each nebula. Most popular gas clouds you'll find in these nebula give off the wavelengths called hydrogen alpha, or as I like to call it, the light of hydrogen. So Wolf-Rayet 134, it's basically a star that gave up all these wavelengths right here, and it has a very wide amount of spectra, if you will. Okay, so it has a lot of color in it, whatever. This is one of the faintest objects I think Naveen has taken, and it was mentioned that we have to take, like some imagers, we have to take these over multiple nights. Dana made a bet that the longest exposure we're going to run up against was going to be about 34 hours. Well, sorry, Naveen broke that record here. Don't remember the exact number, but it's well over 40. So he had 40 hours at the telescope to get this image, and that's really impressive. So actually, I think that may have been one of his lenses. I think. Maybe, or no, it wasn't that. No, it was a CA Edge. No, that's right. Okay. One of these was. Anyway, okay, so this is a section of the Rosette Nebula. It's called the Panther of the Rosette, and you can kind of see it there jumping out as that dark nebula about center just below top. So it looks like a cat jumping out. So that's where it gets its name. Rosette Nebula is located in Monoceros, and it's a really popular nebula to get a wide field view image of. And then finally, this is a topic that that we went over at the last imaging meeting. This was using a self-made, or do-it-yourself. That's what he did. He made his own spectroheliograph. Spectro meaning color, heliograph meaning sun photo. Okay. So anyway, he used this, and he was able to get data that tells of all the wavelengths of light that the sun is projecting. So again, the most dynamic thing to look at, or well, just popular all out, is hydrogen alpha. So there you go. There's the light of hydrogen again with the sun. So anyways, okay, that's it. Okay. I don't think Lejoy was able to join us. Is he virtual? No? Okay. Okay, so Lejoy's been with us for a little while, and I'll narrate through his images as well. This is the North American Nebula, and part of the Pelican Nebula. Well, it's the whole Pelican Nebula to the right, but the North American Nebula, well, the brightest part of the North American Nebula in this image is Mexico down there. so I don't know if you can really make that out. And then the continental United States is just above that little sliver that you're seeing there down at the bottom. And so Florida is huge for this North America. And what I liked about the Pelican Nebula, you can just barely make it out. He's got a long peak, and he's got the warped back of the head right there, and that's on the right side right there. The thing I like about it, if you see that little structure just in front of the Pelican, it reminds me of the face of Deadpool a little bit. So yeah, I call that the Deadpool Nebula. So, but anyway, okay. So this is the Tulip Nebula. This is pretty close by to the one we just saw, the North American Nebula. It's in the constellation Cygnus. I think this is a little bit further away, going down the actual neck of the constellation and to the last star, Alboreus. That's a little bit further away. This is the or it's not lion, excuse me, monkey head nebula. There's a lot of animal head nebulas out there. So here's the Lion Nebula, or excuse me, there I go again, Monkey Head Nebula, and it's in the constellation Orion. And then finally, this is interesting, Jim Perticante. So LeJoy was actually out at Bryce Canyon. Now, what's interesting about this photo, it may not be as elaborate as Jim's, but he did this with a Samsung S20. So that's not too bad. I mean, it's just like, it shows you what's possible with just a minimalist approach with, not that sophisticated tens of thousands of dollars equipment some of us have. So yeah, it's very possible to do, astrophotography on the cheap. And then this was, I tried to look at the rock formations in this image to try to compare to what Jim showed us earlier. But anyway, there it is, looking out onto the canyon. I don't know what light dome that is. Do you know, Jim, what light dome that is?
Way out there. On the left side of the canyon there.
Okay, it's on the okay, all right. Well, anyways, okay. Next is John Sadler, and I just got an email saying that he may not be able to make it. Is he here? Do it yourself. Okay. All right. Okay, John Sadler has been with us for a while. So here's his first image, and I'll just throw in a little tidbit here. I know John really well, so he won't mind me. Yeah, he'll deal with some of the sarcasm I'm about to give him, but it's scientific sarcasm. So John took this image, and it's M31 Andromeda Galaxy. Obviously, it was taken 2 million years ago, and John Sadler is 2 million years old. Now, does somebody in the audience understand what I'm getting at there? Say it out loud, somebody. That's right. Yeah. So John Sadler took this image 2 million years ago because, well, Andromeda Galaxy is 2 million light years away. So there you go. There's a quick little thing for you. This is the Flaming Star Nebula, which is found in the constellation Auriga. Down there at the bottom, that little blossom of a nebula right there. That's those. Can't remember the number of it, but it's got two little structures in it, and they call them tadpoles. It looks like little tadpoles swimming around. You can barely make it out there at the bottom, but it's there. So that's probably one of the coolest nebula complexes in the constellation Auriga, the Charioteer. So and Cassiopeia. So there's the Heart Nebula again. This one was taken, I want to say, with a not star, a C-star telescope, which is just an all-in-one telescope. It's really nice. It lets you do a lot of things and not have to spend a lot of money. But yeah, so they got the Sol Nebula at the upper left and the Heart Nebula to the, upper right, and then the Heart Nebula to the lower left. Here's the Orion Nebula. Everybody knows this. It's found in the sword of Orion. So yeah. Okay, and then the Pleiades, brightest star cluster in the night sky, and it's perfectly visible here in Raleigh, believe it or not. You just have to look carefully, of course. You can't see the nebulosity. That's obvious. And then Satyr, I want to say it's like the second brightest star in Cygnus. Maybe I'm wrong, but it's in the center of the cross of, I think it's the center of the cross of Cygnus. So, and there's a lot of nebulosity around it. So it's red. So obviously 656 nanometers brighter than alpha. Whew. Okay, and these two little knots right here, these are called the Perseus double cluster, obviously found in the constellation Perseus. So nice little knots there in a very thick star-rich area of the Milky Way. Here's Triangulum. This is a really good one. Nice going, John. And this is found in the constellation Triangulum, which is sort of right next door to Pegasus and Andromeda. So that's a really nice rendering right there. Good job. So, okay, that's it for John. Okay, so next we have Johnny Horn, who's here in person. He's been with the club for a very long time. Uh, I guess. Yep, definitely.
Okay. All right, what's number one here? Oh, okay. Yeah, this is from my backyard. It's the Ro-Fuyuki region, done with a 135 millimeter Samyang lens, sort of like the one that Paul mentioned earlier. And it's a couple of hours of exposure with a 2600 MC camera, and also a broadband and an L quad light pollution filter. Next. The best aurora that we've had this year so far, anyway, was back on November the 11th. And, you know, I go outside as soon as it gets dark and I see it over in the north, you know, a little bit after it gets dark. And the thing about an aurora at that time of night, you wonder how long you need to hang with it, you know? So so I shot a few from a dark location and went back to my backyard and sat there for a little while. And then about 11:45, it got cranked up in earnest. And it was about 40 degrees high in the north. This is a view in my backyard over my observatory looking north. And it's a 4-image stitched panorama done with a 24 millimeter lens, 4 images stitched left to right in Photoshop. And it's almost 180 degrees too. So this is the harvest moonrise over in Sampson County, near southeastern grain, 500 millimeter lens and a Nikon D850. And this is a Comet A6 Lemon in November, you know, 2 days apart. This is with an 8-inch Celestron Rasa, which is a 400 millimeter f2 lens and a 2600 color camera. And you can see the differences in both the ion and the dust tail. And that's the M12 that is passing on the November 3rd picture on the right. These are from my backyard. This is the only picture from tonight that was done the first half of the year. This is the lunar eclipse in March. And we have another one coming up March 3rd. Totality starts at the same time morning twilight does, or thereabouts. But this is with my Meade 14-inch telescope and a Nikon D850. And it's at the end of totality. So you're starting to get a little direct sunlight at the upper left there. Okay. One thing you can't find where I live in Fayetteville is a hill. You have to settle for an overpass or a bridge. And this is a picture I did of moon setting in November, early one morning, at a high arcing bridge over downtown Fayetteville with a 500 millimeter lens. I had vectored it out ahead of time so I knew where to stand, but I didn't count on this bucket truck driving by and his exhaust plume, you know, distorting the moon like that. This is NGC 7331 in July. There was a supernova in the galaxy, which it appears is fading at this time, but it appears as a star. I don't know if I can see it on the screen there to the right of the nucleus of the galaxy. This is with my Meade 14-inch telescope and the 2600 camera. And Chris Cole was beating the drum on this all this summer, how we need to go out and observe this. And we're passing through the ring plane of Saturn this year. And we're also passing nearly the orbital plane of Titan. So that means we can see Titan and Titan's shadow projected on the cloud tops of Saturn. And this is one of those half dozen or so times when that happened. I believe this is in July. And this is with a Meade 14-inch telescope in the observatory. That's Titan up at the upper left. And that's all right. That's the last one. Hello?
Okay, so this is my version of the Flaming Star Nebula. And so the interesting thing I found out about the star that's lighting up this whole thing is apparently it was kicked out of the Orion Nebula sometime in the past. And so it's actually interesting. Those four stars that you can see in the upper left, you can actually see with the naked eye. So when you're doing this, you can actually see some of the stuff that's going on and how far it actually moved from the Orion Nebula. And in Caldwell 43, so Little Sombrero, one of the many Hubble objects I got this year. Pleiades. And with all of these, I'm using the ASI 2600 MC. Either I'm using a 8-inch reflector going at f3, or the ASCAR V is usually for most of these. And so there's obviously the Vixen with all the fun spikes. One of the mini globular clusters. One of the things I noticed is with this Hubble is there's lots of globular clusters Hubble's looked at, and they start all looking the same eventually. Okay. Oh. And this is my dumbbell nebula. And I like this one because I could actually start seeing some more of the shock waves that are a little farther out. And another one of the globular clusters, just another one that, is interesting, and, each one is beautiful in its own way. And here's with both the Lagoon and the Trifid Nebula, and, just was able to get both of them together, and you can see some of the knots that are in there, some of the star forming regions, and the reflection off of the Trifid. And here's Eagle Nebula. You can faintly see the pillars of creation that Hubble saw back in its famous image. But, with this one, it's far enough away you can actually kind of see the eagle shape that people are looking for. And another one, apparently everybody's liking this galaxy. So this is mine. It's a little farther out, so you only see that galaxy, but a lot of the other ones that kind of surround it, different parts of different clusters that are around. What is that, Stevens Quintet? Yeah. So you got that, and so lots. It's amazing, and as Chris Cole is pointing out, certain times of year you really get to be able to see a lot more of the galaxies. Now, this is one I always like to do just about every year, is the coat hanger cluster. Sometimes people have a hard time seeing this. So this is Neil Albiero. You can actually see the coat hanger if you're looking at it. It's one of those other ones that if you know where to look, you got a dark sky, you can actually see it with the naked eye. You just have to know exactly where to look. I like this one just because there wasn't a lot of time I got. I probably got like about 20 or 30 minutes at most. It's Centaurus A. It barely clears the horizon here. So I did this here in North Carolina, and you don't have a lot of time, but the fact that I was able to actually get something you could actually recognize, I was happy with that. And M83, one of our mini Hubble objects, and I just like the shape of it, the fact that it's a nice barred galaxy, and you can kind of see how things have gotten skewed by some collision in the distant past. And here's our Leo triplet, and so a little bit more of a springtime galaxies that you're only getting to see again this early in the morning, but a nice little setup here. And yes, Hubble's Variable Nebula. I always like that one because it really does look like a comet. So it's only one I see that Messier would have seen that would have made sense to think of as a comet, but he didn't see it. So, and finally, M1 Supernova Remnant Crab Nebula. So another nice one. It's just interesting to know that someone saw this not that long ago explode on us, and it still grows and still changes over time.
Okay, virtual, is Jeff there? Hey, Jeff, can you unmute yourself? Okay. All right. I'll narrate this one too. Okay, so here we go. All right. So this is a nice little collage that Jeff made. Obviously, what he did is he probably did it with a telescope or a really nice long focal length camera lens, and he just took a picture of the full moon going in front of Mars. And every so often, I shouldn't talk about processing. He just photoshopped what he saw as well, it looks like Mars moved through it, but it was actually the moon. So, but anyway, okay. So this one's really awesome. This is the California Nebula, and it's so big. And whatever scope he was using here, because I'm pretty sure it was probably a Newtonian. It's a really big nebula, so he wasn't actually able to capture the whole thing. If you turn your head to the side a little bit, you can kind of see the state of California there laying on its side. So anyway. Oops. Okay, there we go. Barnard's E Nebula. So this is a dark nebula for obvious reasons. It's silhouetted by all the starlight behind it, and the thought is that it looks like the letter E. I probably would have called Barnard's C Nebula, but that's okay. Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, that's about right. It looks like a wiener rabbit that's riding on. Okay, anyway. So I've always liked this object, and I need to get around to imaging it sometime. This is the Iris Nebula, and it's in the constellation Cepheus. And so it's this really bright cluster that's silhouetting all this dust around it. So, but it's, I don't know, it's just, I just like it a lot. So one of these days I'll go. I've imaged it a long time ago, but nowhere near the magnitude of this. This is really nice. Okay, and so Dryer's Nebula in Monoceros. This isn't too far from the oh gosh, what do you call it? The Cone Nebula in Monoceros. The other big nebula that's in Monoceros that's very photogenic is the one that we saw Naveen took a portion of, called a Rosette Nebula. So, and this is the Witch Head Nebula. This is really difficult. I don't know where he took this image right here. I say difficult because it's really faint, and no light is really given off from it. Because if you saw what the object type is there, it's a reflection nebula. So it's totally dependent upon starlight hitting it and reflecting it back, well, towards us. So, and you can kind of see the witch. That chin is to the left, and if you tilt your head, you can see the nose, and it looks like the Wicked Witch is shouting or whatever. So, and finally, M31 Andromeda Galaxy, always photogenic. So some of the little knots that you probably could see them a little bit better in the other images, but some of the little faint red knots that you're seeing in the galaxy itself, keep in mind, those are the nebulae of the galaxy. So anytime you see the Orion Nebula taking up this whole screen right here, if we could go way out away from the Milky Way galaxy, it would be just a tiny knot going around the nucleus. So, anyways, so I believe that's his last one, and that's our last imager. So. So just a quick summation of the imaging groups. We've been around for more than 15 years, and we welcome all skill levels of imagers. If you want to take images like Lee Joy did with his smartphone, I'm sure there's somebody in the club who's done it before. If you need tips and tricks of how to process your images, we're here for you. So and just like the indoor meeting that we're having now, we do have monthly meetings. It's on a Thursday night, so it's always going to be virtual. And every quarter, we have a target challenge. That's the topic of the meeting. And the next quarter challenge will be actually next month. And some people have already got a head start on it, including me, with the Heart Nebula that you had seen earlier. So it was the Heart and Soul Nebula images that we're wanting to see next January. So if you haven't gotten around to do it, get on it. So, and with that said, I'll leave you with another movie reference here. And Be sure to read vertically from top to bottom, and you'll see this little sequence chock full of Easter eggs. So I thank everybody for being there for us and supporting all the imagers in the club, and we'll see you next year.